I remember as a friend and as a person in politics of whom you could be absolutely proud in terms of his integrity, the way he went about his business, his wanting to do the right thing by the people and by his country. And he was somebody, loved his family, loved his politics and loved Ireland.
One thing about John Bruton that was very striking was he was always full of ideas. Some of them, as he would recognise himself, maybe not the best ideas.
He had a restless mind and an inquisitive mind and a great curiosity. And there was never a weekend passed but you could get, 10, 15, 20 ideas from John. Some might have been a little off the mark, but others were absolutely spot on. But it was his whole political philosophy was do the right thing and do something, keep moving forward. And I think when he went to Europe, he epitomised a new sort of brand of Irish politics, understanding what the European Union was about, how compromise can be achieved and how objectives can be brought about in that way. And he often said to me, in any kind of negotiations, you've got to try to empathise with the other person's viewpoint. Where are they coming from? It's not conceding, but understanding what it is that a compromise might be brought about and work forward from that point of view. So, for me, I've lost a great friend, somebody with whom I had lots of dealings in between irregularities within the Fine Gael party and so on. And as government, as a member, he appointed me to Tourism and Trade in 94, 97. So from that perspective, lost a good friend and Ireland's lost a great man.
Talk to me a little bit about how he became Taoiseach, because in 1992 he was disappointed not to get the opportunity to become Taoiseach, and then this bizarre sequence of events in 1994 presented an opportunity, but that opportunity had to be seized.
Yes, and he had the ambition and the courage to actually go and do it. Sometimes leaders get into a position and when the crunch has to be faced and they've got to meet it head on, they haven't got the courage to do that, but he had, and he wanted to be Taoiseach. And I think at the end of the term in 97, he often said to me, God, it would have been, I really would have loved to have had another shot at this, because he found that by being Taoiseach, he actually had more time to himself to think and to plan and direct the government. So in terms of the agreed programme between the Fine Gael party and the Labour Party, while he had some strong conversations with Dick Spring, that government of Prunchas de Rossa, Dick Spring and Fine Gael really did achieve a great deal and was heading towards a balanced budget with strong management of the economy. John Bruton not afraid to say no to ministers, and from that perspective he was very fair to all the members of that cabinet, and if there was a difficulty he would talk to the minister involved and see could a consensus be reached. And as I say, he was always one for wanting to do the right thing by the country, and nobody can question John Bruton's integrity or his commitment to good in politics.
Part of the reason things didn't work in 1992, the numbers weren't quite there for an arrangement with Fine Gael Labour and perhaps Democratic Left, but part of the reason was that John Bruton didn't really like the thought of going into government with Democratic Left, but he came round to it. Yes, he did.
And as I was saying earlier on, in initial meetings with Prunchas de Rossa and Pat Rabbitte were fragile. But when he began to understand that these people were absolutely committed to joining government and wanting to be in government, that maybe it might not be that not so bad after all. And I remember when he became Taoiseach, he was excited. He was driven by it. He was an ambition that he had as a young lad to be able to do something in politics, and was now in a position of that becoming a reality. And he was one who spoke to his ministers, and if there was an issue, can you fix it? Can we deal with it? Would move it on as a country. So you moved from the three elections in the 80s, 81, 82, 82, to a period of where good economic management was taking place from 94, 97. OK, it didn't work out in 97, but John Bruton deserves the highest credit for his commitment to his country.
What about the North? Because it was an issue that dominated his time as Taoiseach. Unfortunately, the first IRA ceasefire broke down. But he did negotiate the framework documents with John Major, which were actually an important step on the road to the Good Friday Agreement.
Absolutely, and he wasn't afraid to stand up to John Major either. And when the opportunity came to speak out for Ireland and the government of the Republic of Ireland, he was very forthright and very steadfast on that. So he was one who had ideas. Once he got a thing fixed in his mind, he was going to argue for that. He mightn't win all the arguments, but certainly people knew that he was about and what his commitment was. So in terms of Northern Ireland, he really was committed to it and did his part as Taoiseach of a government, which laid the foundations in many ways for what transpired afterwards.
OK, Enda Kenny, former Taoiseach, thank you for joining us on 6-1 and sorry for your loss.
Thank you, David.